Hey guys, okay, welcome to Unit 2 of Algebra 1. So we are beginning Unit 2. It seemed like Unit 1 just took us forever, but thank goodness we're done with Unit 1. We had so many stops and starts with all the 4-day weeks, the Fridays off, and the hurricane days, and the map testing. So we're done with Unit 1. So here's a really good thing that you can do if you haven't noticed this already. When you're on My Modules page, you can collapse the units. So since Unit 1 is so long and you do not want to have to scroll through it every time, if you click the little arrow next to it, boom, it collapses it. So then it should, and it'll save it that way when you keep coming into my course. So that way you don't have to scroll through everything. It'll leave it collapsed, and then you can just quickly get to Unit 2. And that's so much shorter to look through, right? Now, if you still need to go find an assignment in Unit 1, you can expand it again, but that's always that option. But that's a little bit of a shortcut there for you. So here's a little overview of Unit 2, what we're going to learn. So basically, we're going to talk about functions in Unit 2, functions and something called domain and range. So what you are going to need to do first for our lesson today is you're going to need to come here and you're going to need to get the journal slides. So open up your journal. And then you'll go here and it'll open up these files. So you need to copy these 3 slides. So we would click the first one, hold down the shift key, and I'm holding it down right now. Then you can go click on the last slide and notice how it highlights all of them. So the easiest thing to do at this point is hit Control C on your keyboard and then come over to your journal. You can just click on the very last slide we put in, and now you can do Control V, like Valentine V, and then do not link. Okay, so there's your 3 slides. Should put them at the end. So now we need to come up and let's see, where does our Unit 1 Lesson 2? If you want to link the objectives in your table of contents, you can. I'm not really concerned about that. So Unit 2 Lesson 1, I said that backwards. Unit 2 Lesson 1 begins on slide 22. So that's how many slides you should have. You should have 23 slides in your journal now. So 22 is the next to the last slide. So if you don't have 23 slides, you are missing something. You need to figure out what that is and get that slide added to your journal and filled out, because we will grade journals before the end of the 9 weeks. So in about 3 weeks, we're going to grade these journal files. We're going to submit this file in Canvas, and I'm going to grade it, and it will be a major grade, part of your major grade. So we are now on Unit 2. This is Lesson 1, and this is going to be functions. That's what we're going to call this one, functions. So we need to link this. So remember, you highlight the words, come up here, insert link, and we're going to do slides in this presentation, and you're going to need to scroll down. Now, sometimes on your Chromebooks, it doesn't let you scroll down all the way. So if it stops somewhere, if you start hitting the down arrow on your keyboard, it usually will let you find the correct slide. So it's the next to last slide. It should be slide 22. You have to click on it and click apply. So you having this table of contents filled out just like this and all of these linked to the appropriate slides. I don't have all my slides in here linked appropriately, but yours need to be all linked to the correct lesson. That will be a huge part of your journal grade, having your table of contents filled out and linked. Okay, trust me, it's going to be a big part of your grade. So make sure that is done. So what we're going to do is start with our objectives. So I'm not going to do all of these with you. But remember, you need to be looking over here in this I will learn to column. And you need to be filling out, highlighting verbs, nouns, and descriptions. So I'm going to do a couple of them with you. I'm not going to do all of them with you. You're going to need to go through and finish the rest of them on your own. So I'll do the first 2, and then I'll leave you like 3 to do on your own. But you do need to fill out all of these. You can't just do the 2 that I do with you. Make sure you can fill out all of them. So we want to first look in this first I will learn to part right here, and we want to find our verb. What are we going to be doing? Well, so I'm going to come and I'm going to look. Well, I see it says determine. Isn't that an action word? Yes. So I choose my highlight color, and maybe I'm going to make, it doesn't matter, I'm going to make them this blue color. All of my verbs, I'm going to make this blue color. So determine. Okay, the domain and range. Do I see any more action words here? Oh, I see another determine. Usually your verb is going to be like the first word in our sentence. I think that might be all my verbs in this one. So now I want to come through with a different color. And you know what, guys? Sometimes it's even easier if you go through on all of them and go ahead and find your verbs for all of them. So you're working with the same color. And then come back and find all your nouns. Sometimes I do that too. So, but for this example's sake, I'm just going to do the first two. So I found my verbs in this one. So now I'm going to come back and I'm going to find my nouns. Well, what am I determining? Well, I'm going to determine domain and range. That's what I am determining, so that's my noun. I'm going to do those in pink. I'm going to determine domain and range. I'm also going to be determining reasonable domain and range. So there's my other nouns. That's what I am determining. Okay. Oh, you know what? Here's another verb I see. We're going to represent. Isn't represent a verb? Is that something we do? Yep. What are we representing? Domain and range. Okay, so we're going to be talking a lot about domain and range. I'll have to figure out what that is. Now I need to figure out what my descriptions are. What's describing the nouns? What's describing what I'm going to be determining? Well, I know I'm going to determine domain and range, and it's going to be of a linear function, and they're going to be in math problems. So that's important. So now I'm going to pick, maybe, I think I'll do yellow. Okay, so I'm going to determine reasonable domain and range for, they're going to be real world situations, continuous, and discrete. All of that's describing what I'm determining. So I'm going to do all my descriptions in yellow. Okay, so I'm going to represent domain and range, and then I have to use inequalities. So that is actually describing how we're going to represent the domain and range. So notice there's not many words that we don't highlight. We highlight a lot of the words. So let's do another one. This one's shorter. That was the longest one. These other ones are much shorter. So the next one, what's my verb? Well, I see determine again. So I'm doing my verbs in, I'm doing my verbs in blue. So I'm going to come back and choose that same blue color. So verbs are in blue. What am I determining? What's my noun? Well, I'm determining domain and range again. Yep. So I did my nouns in pink. And what are the descriptions? So I'm determining domain and range. So what's describing my domain and range? Well, it's going to be quadratic functions. Okay, so I did those, my descriptions I did in yellow. Oh, look, this is another verb, represent. So that's a verb. I did that in blue. And I'm going to represent, what am I representing? Well, that's my noun, domain and range. And I did those in pink. And I'm going to use inequalities. So that would be in yellow. So maybe I'll do one more for you because my inequality, that's my description. Okay, so I am going to determine, look, same verb here, determine. Do I see any more? Oh, I see represent again. So there's another verb, determine, represent. Those are action words. So let's see if we can find all of our nouns now. We're doing those in pink. Well, what am I determining? Domain and range. There's my nouns in pink. I'm representing what? Domain and range. There's my nouns. You see how this gets kind of repetitive? And then what's describing the pink stuff here? Well, exponential functions. They're going to be exponential functions, and they're going to be in this form. So yeah, mainly your descriptions is all the other words. Did I do that in the right color? I did not. I'm supposed to do those in yellow. Represent domain and range. I'm going to do that using inequalities. So that needs to be in yellow. That's describing how we're going to represent our domain and range. So there's 3 of them done for you. So that only leaves 2. You need to go back and do these 2. Find your verbs. I'm seeing decide here. I'm seeing evaluate. Those are action words. So what are you deciding? What are you evaluating? That would be your nouns there. Okay, so finish up those 2. Let's figure out I like to do that to give you an overview. What are we learning? And then we come back to this after we take our test and we fill in. So if I was tested on however many questions I was tested on domain and range here of linear functions, how many did I get right? So it kind of helps you know what do you need to focus on. Okay, so remember at any point you can pause the video to catch up. Pause it and catch up with me and then move on. So we're going to talk about a little bit of vocabulary here. So relations and functions. So a relation actually, so you need to type here, a relation is a set of ordered pairs, x comma y, or a set of, another word for x's are inputs. Another word for our y's are outputs. You might even put like y's in parentheses here. So your outputs are your y's, your inputs are your x's. Okay, now, so a function, and this should be reviewed because y'all have talked about functions, is just a special type of relation. It still has inputs and outputs, but each, if it's a function, if the relation is a function, so remember it's just sets of ordered pairs. I think you can have lots of ways to see sets of ordered pairs. We're going to see some in a minute. But a function is a special type of relation where each x value, or what's another word for x values? Inputs, is paired with exactly one y value, or what we call output. So basically, if I input any value into a function, an x value, an input, if I input the value, I only get a single output. I can't get two outputs. That's important. So when I input something into my machine, my function machine, I only get one output. So here's a new word for you, the domain. What is the domain? Well, it's the set of all possible x values. Every single input we could have, let's put that, x values or inputs. That's what the domain is. It's just every single possible x value or input. You might have to extend your little text box there. So then the other word is range. What is range? Well, the range is actually the set of all possible y values or outputs. And again, you may need to extend your little text box. Whoops, I just moved mine over. Let me undo that. Sometimes it's hard to click the right spot. Okay, so domain, x values, range, y values. That's all it means. So there's some vocabulary, and we will talk about this over and over and over again. We're going to use these words all year long. Input, output, function, domain, range. That's just kind of a little overview. So what I want to do right now is I just kind of want to review. Let me see if we can still see this. We can. So I want to sort. Over here, we have some relations. So all of these are relations over here. They're examples of sets of ordered pairs. That's what relations are, inputs and outputs, x's and y's. So I want to decide, is it a function or is it not a function? Let's kind of review some things that you did already learn, but we need to review it. So let's talk about, what if we are given a mapping? These things are called mappings, basically where they're pairing up your ordered pairs with arrows in these columns. So they're saying 2, so remember x's are inputs. If I input 2, I get 10. So that would also be the ordered pair 2, 10. But when I input 2, it's also paired with 20. So let's remember our definition of a function. It's a special type of relation where each x value or input is paired with only one y value. Okay, so let's look over here. We see the value 2 is paired with 10. Is it paired with anything else? Why, yes, it is. It's also paired with 20. So because our x value, our input of 2, has two outputs, it could be 10 or it could be 20. So if I input 2 into my machine, I could get 10, but I could also get 20. This is not a function. So your x values can only have one output. This x value 2 has two outputs. So boom, we don't even need to go any further in our mapping here because it has two outputs. That can't happen if it's a function. So let's look at our other mapping over here. Well, 1 is paired with an output of 5. 2 is paired with 10. 3 is paired with 15. And 4 is paired with 20. So are any of these x values paired with more than one y value? They're all just mapped over to 1. The arrow's only pointing to 1. So this one is definitely a function. We can call this one a function. The other one, no, not a function. You can't have, You can't have any cheating x's. That's what I like to say, honestly. That's how I remember it. You can't have cheating x's. Your x's can't be dating two y's at the same time, okay? No cheating x's. Okay, here we go. So let's look at this set of ordered pairs. So all of these are representations of just sets of ordered pairs. So 8 is paired with 3, okay? 9, well, that's a different x value. It's paired with 5. But look over here. Oh, wait a second. I've got 8 again. Now, what is 8 paired with over here? 6. So 8 is paired with 3, and it's paired with 6. That's a cheating x right there. It's paired with two different outputs. That is not a function. You can't have an x value paired with more than one y value. It's cheating x. So that's not a function. So let's look at this one. 4 is paired with 6, okay. 7 is 2, and 5 with 1. I don't have any x values that are paired with more than one y value. So this one is definitely a function. We can put it in the function column. Okay, so let's look over here. We've got 2 is paired with 3. 4 is paired with 6. Wait a second. 4 is also paired with 9. This x is cheating. It's got two outputs. Is not a function. Let's look at this table. 3 is paired with 9. 4 is paired with 9. 5 is paired with 9. 6 with 9. Okay, every single thing is paired with 9. Now, is that a problem for us? I see the same, every single x. So this is like we got to cheat in y, right? And y, our output, we only have a single output of 9. Anything we input, we're going to get an output of 9. So the value 9, y value, has got a lot of x's that it's paired with. But you know what? That's okay. It's still a function. So it's your x's that can't be cheating. So x values can only be paired with one y value. And that's true. This x value 3 is only paired with 9. This x value of 4 is only paired with 9. It's not paired with any other y values. So this table does represent a function. Okay, so now what if you have a graph? So our ordered pairs are not as easy to see if you have a graph. So there's a special test that you can use if you are, I'm going to insert a line right here, guys, really quick, a vertical line. So this special test is actually called the vertical line test. I'm going to make my line pink so we can see it. And if you want to insert a line like I'm doing right now, feel free. It might actually help you. It's called the vertical line test. And in fact, I'm making this video before I assign it, so I might even have this line out here to the side when you're watching this video. It might already be there. So here's what you can do with the vertical line test. So you can take this line, I'm trying to get it straight here, and you can move it across. It has to be a vertical line. You can move it across your graph. Now, if at any point your line is touching two values at the same time, you've got cheating x's. Let me zoom in so we can see this better. So let's look at our line here. So we put our line on our graph. Now, is it touching 2 points on my graph? So here's my red graph. Yeah, my line is going through this point and this point right here. So actually, this x value right here where my line is, if I move it over like right here, what's happening? This is the x value 1, 2, 3. So at this x value, what are the y values there? Well, I've got 2. I've got 1 up here. Looks like it's about, 2.5. And I've also got 1 down here, which looks like it's about negative 2.5. So this x value of 1, 2, 3 actually has two y values, positive 2.5 and about negative 2.5. That's a cheating x. So if your line goes through 2 points at the same time on your picture, that's not a function. Now let's move our line over to our other graph, okay? So what if I slide it across, okay? Slide it across. So this graph is actually slowly going out and increasing out and getting wider and wider. So if we zoomed in really close, you can see, is our line ever going through 2 points on this graph? It's not. It's going through 1 point there and then 1 point there. If we zoomed in, we could see it better, but it's not going to let me zoom in like really close like that. But notice how my line is only going through 1 point at a time. It never touches more than 1 point. So that one actually is a function. Okay, so that's the vertical line test. Your line cannot go through more than 1 point at a time because our line was going through 2 points at a time here. This graph is not a function. This one is a function. And hopefully you remember that. So you don't need to do anything with the line if it's there. You can just leave it to the side. Hopefully that is something that you remember going over. I think I'll go over in 8th grade, possibly even sooner than that. So what's a function, what's not a function? That should be a quick review. Now, I do have an assignment. I want examples like we just went over here. If you hit next in Canvas, there's this assignment, is it a function? So I've given you a big old list of functions here. So all I need you to do is say yes or no. Look at number 1. Is this set of ordered pairs a function? Are these tables, these sets of ordered pairs functions? Are these? You can use the vertical line test for your graphs. Here's some mappings. Are any of your x values cheating? Are they paired with more than one y value? So all you have to do is put yes or no. So you have 3 options of how you can complete this assignment. The first thing you can do is up here at the top on yours, you'll have the button that says submit assignment. Click that. You can take a piece of notebook paper and just number it 1 through 20, and beside each number put yes or no. Is number 1 a function? Yes or no? Or you could, when you hit submit assignment, there's also going to be a text box option down below. You could number 1 through 20, and you could put 1, yes, 2, yes, whatever, yes or no for each one. Or the third option you have, and a lot of you probably don't have this option, is you could actually print this out right here. So how you would print this out is you would click this arrow, and it'll pop it out into a new tab, and then you'll be able to click print. So if you have a printer at home, you could access this and print this out and literally write beside each one, yes or no. And then at the end, so if you're going to do that, you have the text entry, or you'll have to take a picture of it and upload it. Same thing if you write your answers on a piece of notebook paper, take a picture. You can use the camera on your Chromebook. You have to take the picture first, then come back over here to the assignment and browse for that file on your Chromebook. So those are the 3 options to complete this assignment. It shouldn't take long. This is usually like really quick. This is all still review. Are these things functions? And if you're stuck or struggling on any of them, just tell me what number and I'll be happy to send you a message. I can send you a little video or audio message or something explaining it in Canvas. So try your hand at this assignment and let me know if you have any questions.